Hi, welcome back. It's Thursday. It's the 7th, and we're still watching a forecast that continues to get colder and continues to give us some snow chances for your weekend and another hit within the next week of the forecast period. I'll outline all of those tweaks we made in the weather department in just a few moments. I have in hand, not on the show tonight, but about it appears as though 40 pages of indictments returned this afternoon by a sitting Magoffin County grand jury, and you can find those listed here and covered on tomorrow night's program. Of course, in addition to some other news and information, which will also include some highlights from tonight's Hornet ball game. The boys are at home tonight. We'll go over a quick schedule and score update for you for some viewing area teams in just a few moments as we're just starting to get used to the idea that indeed it is basketball season here and everywhere. On tonight's show, a former and elected official saw an appeal officially denied, as was confirmed this week. I'll mention, as I did briefly last night, only saying that there's a new business coming to the Paintsville area. Tonight we'll elaborate on that. A business that says they're opening a new store every 3 days across the nation. The Public Service Commission, in its second day of hearings today, in consideration of how much, or if any, but I would lean more towards how much of a rate increase that Kentucky Power customers will see. And some other news and information before we leave you, and I'm going to try to leave you in time to make it to Andrew's game. Tips off at 6. I hope to wrap the show up just a few minutes early, tape it, and be out the door. We'll see how that works out. With that said, we'll go ahead and jump right into our first headline. And just a brief update about a business coming to Paintsville. Indeed, they claim to be opening up a new store every 3 days, one of those to be opening by the end of January, and that is Harbor Freight coming to Eastern Kentucky. The first one in this region coming to Apple Tree Plaza in Paintsville. Harbor Freight says that they offer quality tools at ridiculous low prices. Power tools, commercial tools, construction, automotive, farm, and others. They also boast 40 million customers, opening a new store every 3 days. They're scheduled to open their doors at their new location in Paintsville on January the 30th, according to its store's manager. It will be in the Apple Tree Plaza, just right next to the Factory Connection, where the Maggard's Furniture Store used to be. They are currently renovating, and they were while I was on scene this week, the 10,000 square foot space that it will occupy. They've already been working on hiring about 30 to 40, I'm told, local employees, part-time and full-time employees who will be in place and ready to open the doors by the end of January. Harbor Freight has been around 35 years. They say they are a $3.5 billion company out of California. So far, about 600 stores across the United States, and once again, currently opening one every 3 or 4 days. Immediately upon its announcement, it was met with great displeasure, great concern by, I believe, all customers of Kentucky Power, who was initially requesting a 16% increase. They've backed off of that now, just requesting for a 9% increase. This after they filed a rate review request with the Public Service Commission, asking for about $70 million from its customers to pick up the slack, so to speak, from businesses or customers who are no longer living or operating in their service area, but to still generate the same amount of electricity or the service that they provide. They have now requested that they are, or informed the Public Service Commission that they are now in need of and can do with $34.5 million in rate increases, which still equates to right at 9% for residential customers. And today marked the second day of a formal hearing before the Kentucky Public Service Commission by Kentucky Power, who is now requesting that rate increase. And before I go any further, let me just be clear. When I said just 9%, there indeed was a hint or tone of sarcasm attached to that statement. But yesterday, while this is video of today and day 2, yesterday on day 1, we saw what the commission referred to as a conundrum in trying to reach what they say is a fair and reasonable settlement for everyone, stating that while Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear is still opposing any increase at all, as he has done publicly to this point, but at the same time, the Attorney General's expert witness who testified yesterday, identified as Ralph Smith of Larkin and Associates, says that he still stands by his earlier testimony before the commission, saying that by his accounts he can justify and see the reason behind Kentucky Power asking for nearly $40 million of rate increases being passed on to its customers. Now, in response to those statements by the key witness of the Attorney General, the Commission says that their main objective is to have a fair and reasonable settlement for all the parties involved. And how we get there depends on the testimony provided by witnesses such as Smith himself, calling it a conundrum. Today, they met again, more testimony. They recessed at 4 o'clock, and after it is all said and done, the Public Service Commission will either approve, change, or deny the settlement agreement. If they come to an agreement and new rates are approved, they will go into effect in the middle of January. Under the settlement agreement, the residential customer rate would increase almost 9%. Instead of the original 16% they were asking. Commercial, industrial consumers, anywhere from 3 to 7% instead of 7 to 14%. We'll be watching and hope that you're watching and staying up to date with us as well. I'll be right back. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. U.S. District Judge Gregory Van Tatenhoff has officially denied any and all appeals to date filed on behalf of a former judge executive, that being Tim Connolly of Morgan County. Connolly was indicted along with two co-defendants of a local construction company here in Sagersville back in December of 2013 for mail fraud, bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds, and conspiracy to commit money laundering, and pled guilty to one count, count 3, in August of 2014, that being the Honest Services mail fraud. A pre-sentence investigation report was prepared in which Connolly's recommended sentencing guideline range was determined to be 70 to 87 months, and the court sentenced him to the maximum of 87 months. He afterward filed a timely appeal to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. It was dismissed on September the 6th of 2016. He filed a motion to vacate, set aside, or correct his sentence. And on February the 16th of this year, Judge Weir filed a recommended deposition calling Connolly's motion to be denied. Several reasons were given in his statements or motions before the court for requesting that his his sentence be set aside. One being that he claimed ineffective assistance by counsel, but the judge noted that he neither demonstrated that his counsel was deficient or established that he suffered prejudice as a result of his deficient counsel during the prior court proceedings. And as a result of the consideration, the court has determined that his motion to set aside has been overruled, that it is dismissed with prejudice, and a certificate of appealability is denied as to all issues. And the judgment was in favor, of course, of the government. This as was confirmed by a judgment returned this week, basically stating the same, in which his appeal has been denied and the case has now been officially stricken from the active docket. He is now to, pending any other unforeseen circumstances, continue to serve out the rest of his term. Basketball tonight and tomorrow night for the Hornets, and real quickly getting you caught up on schedules and scores for the Hornets, Tigers, and Eagles of Johnson Central. Going back to Saturday, that's when the Hornets and Lady Hornets both took on Central, home and away. The boys took on Central on the road and came back with a loss, 62-83. That's their second loss in 3 games in the very early season. Their win coming against Eastridge at home, and they're hoping to pick up their second win and go even tonight, hosting Betsy Lane. Tip-off set for 7:30. JV, of course, to start at 6, which I'm hoping to catch the end of real quickly. Nevertheless, the boys hosting Betsy Lane tonight. Oh, by the way, the boys are also the second half of a doubleheader tomorrow night, taking on Betsy Lane at 7:30, and the Lady Hornets, of course, will be the first half of that tomorrow night. We'll get to that in a second. Their last game was also against Pike Central over the course of the weekend, and that was at home for the Lady Hornets. End result 44-64. They're winless thus far on the season, but hoping tomorrow night might be their first win and the first of many, hosting Sheldon Clark. So the Lady Hornets will take on Sheldon Clark Game 1 tomorrow night, and the boys, which are playing tonight, are also playing tomorrow night in Game 2 at 7:30, as I just told you, also against Sheldon Clark. Going on to Coach Tommy McKenzie and the Golden Eagles of Central. They've only got one game in thus far, and that was November the 28th. They had one game in and some rest thereafter, and a lot of practice in between, I'm sure. They are hosting East Ridge tonight. That tip-off set for 7:30. Only their second game of the season. Not much to talk about here. They're 1-0 on the early run. While the Lady Eagles are 2 games in, first was a loss on December the 4th to Hazard, 47-53. But just on Tuesday of this week, night before last, a win on the road, 70-59 against East Ridge. They are on the road tonight as well. The ladies traveling to Pike Central for their 3rd game of the season, going in at 1-1. The Paintsville Tigers are out to a good start at 2-0. Elliott County was a win at 77-54 in their season opener at home. And Powell County on the road on Monday night of this week, 57-53, a win. They are on the road tonight at Shelby Valley. Tip-off set for 7:30. And as for the Lady Tigers, a win out of the gate back on November the 27th at home over Betsy Lane, and 2 losses in a row at the hands of Pikeville and the ladies from Knott County Central. The Lady Tigers are off until Monday of next week. Yep, they've had a full week off after the Knott Central game. They're going to be on the road at Morgan County Monday night at 7:30, looking for their second win, currently with 1 win and 2 losses.
Are you looking to visit or come home to Sagersville to relax, reconnect, or maybe ride the Dawkins Trail? Then you have to stay in our luxurious lofts over downtown that comfortably and conveniently accommodate parties of 1 to 10 with king beds, beautiful decor and furnishings, and walls adorned with the city's history. There's absolutely nowhere else like the Mortimer Lofts. Book directly through VRBO. Find them on Facebook at the Mortimer Lofts of Sagersville or call 606-349-3299.
More news in a few moments. Right now, let's find out what's happening. And indeed, there is a lot happening, as you can well imagine, certainly this time of year. Turning to tonight's McGoffin Farm Bureau community calendar. Yeah, a lot of holiday events, and a few I've actually got a stack of events that'll carry us on out beginning next week. But for now, here's what's happening. It'll pop up in a second. Don't forget, please, stop by and see our friends at the Sagersville Funeral Home and bring a new unwrapped toy of any value, whatever you can share. 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever, for their annual toy drive. It's in their 4th year. It's been a major event and a major help, and just a lot of cheer spread to a lot of kids in McGoffin County. All of the toys and things that they are donated go to kids in McGoffin County, and they'd like, of course, to have you being a part of their toy drive again this year. Don't forget about the Christmas giveaway in downtown Sagersville across from the Speedway at the Mount Sinai Church of God. It's this Saturday morning. They'll start at 10. They'll go to, they don't have any more to give out. Santa and Mrs. Claus are going to be there. All gifts donated by East Kentucky Mission and the Sinking Fork Baptist Church. That's this Saturday morning starting at 10. Don't forget that all our friends over at South McGoffin Fire Department have set their Christmas run. They get on the fire truck with Santa, and they'll pull out of the fire department at 4 o'clock, and these are their stops and their times that they'll be there. And they pretty much run on schedule. And at the end of the day, by 7 o'clock, if you missed them on their route through their coverage area, head back to the fire department. That's where Santa's going to be, and I suspect he won't have an empty bag when he gets there either. So be sure and remember, for our friends and Santa is going to be visiting the area of the South McGoffin Fire Department this Saturday starting at 4 o'clock. Water into Wine is set their next food pantry distribution date. Senior Day is next Tuesday, 8:30 till noon, and the regular day of distribution is Wednesday of next week, 8:30 till 3. That's for the Lakefront Church of God's Water into Wine food pantry, Tuesday and Wednesday of next week for the month of December. And a Christmas celebration feast, as you were invited by members of the committee who are helping support this. They just came together. Churches, individuals, and a whole lot of others came together and said, we just want to have a big holiday meal for everyone. And everyone, all ages. It's free. They just want to celebrate with each other. So this Tuesday from 11 till 2 at the community center, you're invited to stop by for a wonderful Christmas feast. we hope to see you there. And also the Small Business Bazaar, I misspoke. The South Magoffin Fire Department is hosting this, but it's going to be here in downtown Sayersville at the Renaissance Center. Not this Saturday, but next, so I'll get it straight and remind you next week. And they're going to have all sorts of vendors. I mean, names like Pampered Chef and Rada 31, Mary Kay, LuLaRoe, the list goes on. Vendors, gifts, ornaments, and concessions will all be available. Great Christmas shopping right there in one area, and you can go through downtown to downtown local merchants as well and shop local and get everybody done on your list that Saturday. And you can get everything on, well, I thought I had a good segue going there. Not so much. We'll get your announcement on is where I was going anyway. Birthdays and anniversaries too. You just have to tell me about it so I can tell everyone else. Now, let me tell you about a wintry forecast that I've got in store for you for the rest. Well, this is not news flash. We've been talking about this for days, but that doesn't mean it's the same as it was 24 hours ago. It's not. Tonight, 21 degrees. Another cold one out there tonight and tomorrow. We'll see clouds on the increase tonight as well. Winds out of the west-northwest, 5 miles per hour or so, becoming calm over the course of the overnight. We'll wake up to calm skies tomorrow, and we'll only perk up to about 34 degrees for your Friday. And tomorrow night's low is going to be a good one. Partly sunny skies, partly cloudy, cold and clear for your Friday. Saturday is not going to follow that note except for the cold part. Daytime highs still right at or just above freezing. Nighttime lows around 25. But that's when our next weather maker comes in. And right now, a chance of flurries between, say, 11 or noon, maybe turning into some snow showers briefly thereafter. And with light southwest winds, 5 to 18 miles per hour or so, it's going to be blustery, it's going to be cold, and possibly snowy. And it could be enough to make things white just a little bit. Still tracking that, still just hard to say how much snow we're going to see, but it's possible. Our first official snowfall, measurable snowfall, could be this weekend. We'll talk more about it on tomorrow's program. Know much more about it 24 hours out as well. Right now, I think I know that the snow is pretty much going to wind down by midnight on Saturday night, and then we'll see clearing skies return for the latter half of your weekend. Temperatures, again, 3 days in a row, we're looking at 34 degrees, and again, for the second night in a row, lows around 25. So your Sunday's going to be another cold one, mostly sunny, partly cloudy. Temperatures take a bit of a spike on Monday up to a balmy 47 under mostly sunny skies. That's ahead of another dip in temps. You'll see what's happening there. Another player making its way into town, and Monday night we'll have a 30% chance of some snow showers and even a better shot into your Tuesday of next week with 35-21 for your temps, clouds, and a chance of some snow, not just Tuesday night but also into Wednesday. Thursday, still a chance of snow showers. I'm not seeing temperatures anywhere out of the upper 30s, low 40s between now and, say, Thursday of next week. And we've got several days there that we could see some decent chances of some snowfall. Now, I know I'm cutting it out early, and excuse me, one might think it's just an effort to get to Andrew's ballgame. Well, that's partly it. The more serious part, though, is that I had left a few minutes for a story that we don't have the rest of the information and details on at this hour. So that's the primary reason. It's just going to kind of work out to get me out of here about 5 minutes early to catch as much of Andrew's ballgame as possible. So with that said, that's the reason. But we have, as I referred to earlier, a great deal of news already set for tomorrow. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I am rushing right out the door to try to catch the end, at least, of Andrew's JV basketball game. We'll have some highlights for you from the varsity matchup on tomorrow night's program. And once again, about 40 pages of indictments returned today by Magoffin County Grand Jury and a host of other news before I leave you for the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and have a good night.